Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre. Hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Laura and Richard Mathiasen. Each episode, we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond. Sometimes, even from the beyond. You can find us online at terrorintandem.com and on Instagram at terrorintandem. Do we have any other social media?
No.
Good. I think that's enough.
And we won't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's a lot already.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it's going to be.
Between my Insta and my Finsta, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Catfishing people, it takes a lot of effort. They never talk about that side of things. When you catfish someone, like how much work goes into it, especially if you're like me and you're catfishing multiple people across multiple burner accounts. It's just a lot to keep track of.
This podcast is one big catfish. Happy May.
Happy May, and a happy May Day to all. Lord Summer Isle sends his best.
If we were going to do seasons of episodes, this would be the first of our season 2.
We did, yes. All right, we're breaking off another year.
Another year.
Yeah. So year 2.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got a massive budget increase, so we'll be having a lot more pyrotechnics and special effects.
Yeah, year 2, Too Fast, Too Furious.
We'll be using CGI to de-age ourselves.
Well, you will. I don't need it.
That's fair. Yeah, I have what the doctors call wrong grail syndrome.
Oh, you drank from the wrong grail?
Yeah. I really wish they would stop referring it to that. It's just it's unprofessional.
Well, this is going to be our Coming Attractions May episode.
Welcome. Well, what do we know about May, everybody? Or did we already go over that last year?
I mean, I don't think we need to go into it.
We don't have any more to add.
People to listen to,
Oh.
but May flowers.
Yeah, showers, flowers. It's going great.
I mean,
it's going great, everybody. This is like the first really, really beautiful weekend of the year. It's been amazing.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of it outside.
Doing outside stuff.
Outside of the studio.
Yeah, obviously covered in clothing and SPF 9000.
We saw a scarlet tanager today.
Yeah, and some turtles.
We did.
Yeah.
So I think we should just jump right into it. This is going to be probably one of our more streamlined episodes because there isn't a lot to choose from in May. It's a little bit of a
it's a light
shoulder
month.
season for horror.
And that's okay. That's okay. It's good to take a deep breath. There's a lot of content. Maybe catch
up on some of the things that you missed over the past few months.
Looking in the mirror, as I say this, maybe catch up on some of that backlog. Maybe whittle down some of those watch lists that you keep adding to.
Yeah, get some reading done on your TBR pile.
Looking at you, beloved Richard.
So why don't you set us off?
Oh, that sounds great.
Start us off. You always set us off.
I pop off. Here's what I'm looking forward to in May.
Pop my shirt off.
I'm going to get started.
Let me just pop my shirt off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Richard's been running the dentist system on me for some reason, but only demonstrate
value. Yeah, well,
that's the only one.
So
I'm okay with it.
It's the only non-problematic part of the dentist system, so I feel like...
Well, he does it a little problematic.
Yeah.
Where he makes a problem.
I just want to say my demonstrating value is
he calls from the payphone
doing
and
chores
he's like,
and shit.
I'm going to get you.
We're
and
talking about It's
up.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
for those of you who have been rapidly hitting the 15-second button. My
Only
first
when you speak.
recommendation of the month. Yes, that's right. We all asked for it. We all signed the petitions. We all went to the rallies. Folks, I'm happy to say we are finally getting a sequel to 2020's Becky, and that is The Wrath of Becky.
Mm-hmm.
Now, jokes aside, hilarious jokes aside, Becky was an interesting experiment that hit on some levels for me and others not so much. I was chiefly interested in watching Becky, and you probably mostly remember this movie as the one where Kevin James doesn't play a Kevin James role. He's a neo-Nazi. So Becky, which came out in 2020, starred Lulu Wilson as Becky, who's a teenage girl that runs afoul of Kevin James's neo-Nazi. Her dad is played by Joel McHale.
Oh,
and
fun.
violence ensues. And Becky, spoiler alert, kills the fucking crap out of a bunch of Nazis. And it's pretty great. But it was a little like, high concept, didn't quite make it. So they're making a sequel. Here's what I could put together about this sequel. None of the original people, aside from Lulu Wilson as Becky, are involved. So it's new directors, new writers. It seems like the only common thread is this producer, J.D. Lifshitz. Now, J.D. Lifshitz is an Orthodox Jewish man, and I say this because apparently this project is really, really important to him. And it delights me to no end that there is an Orthodox Jewish man out there championing a series of films about an adolescent girl who brutally massacres Nazis. Because yes, The Wrath of Becky follows our titular Becky back at what she does best. She this time runs afoul of a group of neo-Nazis led by Sean William Scott, known as Stifler to many. And in this installment, which, it's not out yet, it's coming out May 26th. It's directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote. Now, it's premiered at a few festivals. It's getting a lot of really positive buzz. According to what I've read, it really amps up the violence and the humor, which is good because it's inherently a ridiculous concept of this tiny little blonde teenage girl basically going Terminator on a group of big, beefy Nazis. And it's awesome. The trailer's amazing. It's got Lulu Wilson is a real up-and-comer. That was probably the best thing about the original Becky was her performance was really all out. And it seems like in this sequel, she's giving off like real Samara Weaving vibes in Ready or Not. Just leaning
Final
into
girl.
that. Yeah, but leaning into the subversion of the final girl trope where the final girl isn't necessarily a survivor. To paraphrase or steal from, Rorschach and Watchmen, like, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. So I just love it. And I love any movie where Nazis, any movie where Nazis are getting what they deserve is automatically on my to-watch list. So I'm really looking forward to Wrath of Becky on May 26th in theaters.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
What do you got going on?
Well, I'm going to go in order of release dates.
I am not doing that. Yeah.
Something that's already been released, because you'll be hearing this, May 9th.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
you
or
can
10th or 11th or
blame
whatever.
Dr. Cronenberg for our delayed schedule.
So mine's a book called The Ferryman.
Oh, I am looking forward to this one.
And it's already out, so you can pick it up anytime.
You're welcome.
It's by Justin Cronin. It came out on May 2nd. And he is actually doing a tour right now, and he's going to be in Concord, New Hampshire on Wednesday evening
Oh, that's cool.
of the week of the 9th,
Yeah.
10th. I think he'll be in Concord, New Hampshire on the 10th.
One of our extravagant properties is in that region.
So if you're, East Coaster and you're a big Justin Cronin fan, that's where he's going to be. So essentially the book is about a group of survivors on a hidden island utopia where truth isn't what it seems.
Uh-oh.
Just a brief synopsis. The island was founded by a mysterious genius only known as the Designer. Prospera is a hidden island paradise where citizens enjoy long, fulfilling lives. They wear monitors in their forearms to measure their physical and psychological well-being, and when it falls below 10%, they retire themselves, taking the ferry ride to the island known as the Nursery, where their failing bodies are renewed, their memories are wiped clean, and they are readied to start another life. And so Proctor Bennett is the ferryman. He's the one that brings them to and from. And sometimes he has to enforce this retirement.
Oh, not everybody wants to take that trip?
Nope.
Huh.
And sometimes Proctor has been dreaming which isn't a possibility for most citizens or any citizens of Prospera. And then his monitor starts to quickly dwindle in percentage when he's summoned to retire his own father.
Oh.
And his father gives him a disturbing and cryptic message before being, and this is a quote from the plot summary, wrestled onto the ferry.
Yikes.
So unrest is building. There's rumors spreading of a resistance group known as the Arrivalists. And Proctor starts to question everything.
I mean, just once, can't I get a utopia that is a utopia?
No.
Damn it.
For those of you who may be like, who's Justin Cronin? He is the author of the Passage trilogy,
Yeah.
which included The Passage, The 12, and The City of Mirrors.
We like those.
Those were amazing. Apocalyptic, survival, basically like humankind
He's
survival.
a lovely writer. Yeah. He's a
government intervention, experimentation, vampirism.
I'm excited to read something outside of that series because that's my only experience with Justin Cronin.
And that's all he's. I think there was another book he might like, just a novella or something.
I think
he
I don't
published,
think
but
he
this is it.
started as a horror author.
No. This is like his
yeah,
his
breakout.
his book after the Passage.
Do you think they'll make a
trilogy.
show with Mark Paul Gosselaar
I hope
out of
not.
this one, or this one will have Elizabeth Berkley in it?
I mean, this sounds like it would be a great show. First
Yeah.
of all,
Yeah.
and I heard it's really, really great. He is a great writer, and this is a standalone book, so it's not going to turn into a trilogy.
That's refreshing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Always love a good one-off.
yeah. So that's out and pick
Right
it up.
on. Oh, cool. I'm looking.
And you won't be able to put it down.
I might check that out myself, honestly. I like Justin Cronin. My next one is also a book coming out May 16th. It is No One Will Come Back for Us by Preme Mohammed, coming to you from Undertow Publications. Now, Preme Mohammed is she's written a few things. I had not heard of her before, but this is her first collection of horror short stories. So she is a Nebula award-winning author. She's been on the scene for a little bit. She seems, I have to be honest, I had not heard of her before finding out about this book. So I did have to do a little bit of research. I was drawn to this because the title's amazing. No One Will Come Back for Us. And also the book art, the cover art is beautiful. So I never understood that, by the way. Can't judge a book by its cover. Because I took that literally. I remember when I first heard that expression as a child, and I was like, you can't? Because I love book art.
Yeah.
This was especially in the
80s when it was.
Yeah, and the
like
early 90s.
Text was bubbled.
Yes,
up.
all of the mass market
You could
paperbacks
yeah,
and
I
the
know,
Stephen
it's
Kings,
so
they had
amazing.
amazing graphic art on the front with like raised bumpy text, and I
Yeah.
loved it. And I
Me
remember
too.
hearing that expression when I was young and being like, oh, I do that all the time though. And I felt really, really guilty because I judged books by their cover constantly because the covers are so interesting.
You might not have to judge a book by its cover, but you can certainly be enticed.
Well, I've since
By it.
learned the nuance of what is known as, metaphor. But anyway, this one, I literally did come to it because of the title and the cover. And then I read a little bit about it. It is a collection of 17 short stories that are Lovecraft-inspired cosmic horror. Seems like explorations of a lot of different topics, from girlhood and femininity through things like witchcraft and beekeeping. There seem to be a lot of tentacles, lighthouses, slimy gods, elder
your
things,
favorite.
all the classic cosmic horror Lovecraft stuff, and being written by a younger woman of color. I'm always interested to see new takes on Lovecraft inspired, because Lovecraft was an individual with what many would, including both of us, consider heinous personal beliefs, but a very gifted writer whose influence is so pervasive in horror it's impossible to separate. So I'm always interested in taking the good from Lovecraft and approaching it from a brand new angle. I don't see that as appropriation. It's, all art should
Evolve.
inspire. Yeah. And honestly, this dead old racist stuff is still being written about 100 years later. So you're welcome. That's awesome. What a compliment. But there is a sort of power, I think, to taking something you love that was tarnished by the imperfection of humanity and just kind of reclaiming it, like I hope someone does with Harry Potter eventually. Anyway, I am looking forward to this because I'm always on the lookout for new authors to get excited about.
When does this come out?
It comes out May 16th. I love a collection of short stories because there's zero stakes.
And you can really get a sense of the author and whether or not you attach to the writing. Not maybe everyone is going to be a winner.
No, but one of two things always happen when when I first approach an author through a short story collection. I either lose nothing, because if you read a couple of shorts that don't work, okay, fine. It's a very low commitment. You can just decide not to finish. But sometimes you're just blown away, and now you've discovered a brand new author, and you discover, oh my God, they've been on the scene for 10 years. And they've got this whole body of work I never learned about. So anyway, that is No One Will Come Back for Us, 17 short cosmic horror stories by Premi Muhammad. And I do hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I mean, no disrespect if I am not.
Well, I doubt she's listening.
Miss Muhammad, I do thank you for listening.
My next is a movie.
Awesome.
And
I like
I
those.
was on the fence about this one, but then I did a little more digging, and now I'm recommending it.
Interesting.
It's called The Outpost, and
Okay.
it comes out in May, limited release May 19th. I mean, these all come out in May.
May 19th.
So the synopsis or summary is, after a violent assault, a woman named Kate, played by Beth Dover, who you'll recognize when you see her, she asks her best friend for help to escape an abusive ex. She's given a volunteer job as a fire lookout in a mountain of northern Idaho, and she's hoping the solitude will help her heal from her trauma, but the PTSD and isolation won't allow that.
Yikes.
And she quickly becomes in a fight to save herself and the nearby town. So there's
From
a little
what?
bit of gaslighting in this movie. There's a little bit of obviously like visual.
No, there isn't.
When you're alone, seeing things, trusting yourself, trusting your eyes. And
You do like those kinds
I
of
do.
stories where, unreliable narrator, that kind of thing?
Dylan Baker is in it.
Oh, cool. I like Dylan Baker.
And his wife, Becky Ann Baker.
That's cool.
You should look her up because
will.
you'll totally know, and you'll be like, I didn't know they were married. And they're
I
in
mean,
a
we
lot
love
of
Dylan
things
Baker,
together.
obviously, from Trick or Treat.
Yep.
That's our number one, but he was also
In
Dr.
Heroes.
Connors, the original lizard in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Yep. And Becky Ann Baker. And it's directed by Joe Latrulio, who played Charles Boyle
shit.
in Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh my God.
He was in Superbad.
no.
911.
Of course I know who he is. He's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Right.
The comedy and horror, y'all will notice there's a lot of crossover there. I mean, Jordan Peele is one of the best examples of it. And there is a reason from that. They both come from pain.
it also stars Atto Asando, and he's in The Diplomat. I'm not familiar with him except for in this new television show on Netflix with Kerry Russell called The Diplomat, and he's a major character in it. And then I saw him in this film, and I was very excited.
That's awesome.
Believe he's one of the folks who hires her. But Dylan Baker and Becky Ann Baker are locals, and I think there's something strange with the locals.
He does a really good job of playing
A creep.
Yeah, but like a
Nice creep.
outward-facing
Yeah.
nice guy who has like a creepy dungeon in his
Gaslighter.
basement. Yeah. I love Dylan Baker.
Did you look Becky Ann Baker?
I did, yeah, from Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
A
lot of things.
And I learned very quickly that they've been married since 1987. Good for
know.
you guys.
And they pretty much have the same career trajectory. They're
Just
both
don't start a
character
horror-themed
actors.
podcast together. That has already been taken.
They're in a lot of films together and shows together.
I like
which is
that.
awesome.
I do like that.
Yeah, of course. So check that out if you're interested.
I am
Again,
interested.
Limited release, so I'm guessing this will be a video
New York
on
and
demand.
LA. Oh, the coastal elites.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll probably be streaming like 6 minutes later. Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Or do you want to take a break?
Oh, sure. I mean, go for it.
Let's take a break.
We should have taken a break soon.
The world's a scary place. It only makes sense you'd want to keep your loved ones safe by slowly poisoning them just above the threshold of death. But the tricky part has always been finding the right dosage. You want to keep your precious darlings weak enough to need you, but not so weak you can't have a social life too. Don't get me started on overdoses. What a mess. Well, to all you concerned moms and totally normal boyfriends out there, have I got a wonderful product for you. Introducing Munchausen by Proxybox, a home meal delivery kit guaranteed to keep your charges physically weak enough to never escape your loving home fortress. Each Munchausen by Proxybox comes with a delicious pre-planned meal designed by our team of sarin gastronomers to delight the taste buds and crush the human spirit. Choose from an assortment of meals, from our classic chicken a la strychnine to our gluten-free pesticide platter. Don't take a chance that your loved ones will venture out into the world and get hurt, or worse, decide they don't need you anymore. Keep them close and compliant, without the hassle or worry of looky-loos at the grocery store. Order Munchausen by Proxybox today and get a free window sealing kit that neighbors won't notice. This is a fake ad for a fake product on a horror-themed podcast. We do not condone nor endorse poisoning people because you are literally unlovable. Ooh, welcome back. So I think it's my turn. And my next one is going to be another movie. This one is, I'm really, really looking forward to this.
Another movie? I thought
yeah.
It was a video game you were recommending.
Oh, curveball. Interesting. So this movie is called Moon Garden. I'm being followed by a moon garden. No.
Moon Garden.
So Moon Garden is the directorial debut of Ryan Stephen Harris. It's actually, so Ryan Stephen Harris, this is a real work of labor of love for this gentleman. He wrote, directed, edited, did the art direction, the design, basically did everything for this movie. It's coming May 19th in limited theaters from Oscilloscope. Oscilloscope really does do a lot of interesting stuff, so that's cool. Anyway, this is like a dark fantasy. The synopsis is like, I watched the trailer. The trailer is really, really great. I do recommend watching it. A little girl has what looks like a terrible accident. She slips into a coma. And when she's in the coma, she enters into this like stop motion, steampunk, horrific nightmare, dark fantasy type world. She has to fend off this specter that feeds off tears. And she has to follow her mother's voice, who's speaking to her from her hospital bed and comes through like as like a radio static kind of thing, to get back to her body, basically. So it's all practical effects. I don't know if if y'all saw Mad God last year, Phil Tippett's stop motion masterpiece. This kind of looks like Return to Oz mixed with Mad God. It definitely is horror adjacent. I'd say it's more dark fantasy than horror. There are elements in the trailer that are truly horrific and frightening, but it's all very allegorical. It looks really beautiful. Potentially a heart-lifting tale, but this little girl going through these scary nightmares and overcoming her fears, and I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. I love dark fantasy. It kind of had a Dark Crystal vibe to it also, because everything is practical. Now, interestingly enough, Ryan Stephen Harris, he's an editor whose previous credit before this was Moonfall.
Oh, wow.
With Halle Berry.
Away from the moon.
He got a thing for moons. But I was looking through this man's filmography so far, and I don't mean to tell his story for him because I literally know nothing about this person, but it seemed to me like the story of somebody who's been taking projects to make money to make this movie.
And also to like get a little
and get
bit
experience.
More,
yeah.
Recognition.
Because his filmography is, as an editor, listen, I'm just going to throw it out there. There's some pretty bad movies, but the interesting thing of this movie coming together and him being so heavily involved in it, it really I was reading through it and I'm like, oh, this sounds like you've been trying to get this off the ground for a really long time.
Yeah, but they're not edited poorly.
No,
They're not bad movies 'cause
I
of the
don't mean in
editing.
any. It just what I mean is I know what that's like to take jobs that aren't very interesting to you, but it allows you to save up and prepare and gain some skills for the job that really does interest you. And that's what Moon Garden
Or
really
to prove
looks
yourself,
like.
too.
Yeah,
You have to sometimes prove yourself in Hollywood
exactly.
that you can handle a bigger budget.
So for Ryan Stephen Harris, I am rooting for you. I think this movie looks incredible. Also, one of my favorite movies of all time is Jean-Pierre Jeunet's City of Lost Children. It was giving me very similar vibes in the color tone and in this sort of dark fantasy and scaring children kind of thing. But it's a kind of movie we really don't get very often. It's the kind of movie you probably saw more frequently in like the early 80s. And I'm really looking forward to Moon Garden. I think out of the 3 I'm recommending this month, that's the one that has me the most intrigued.
Awesome. So my last recommendation is Gremlins, The Secret of the Mogwai.
I'm totally going to watch this.
It comes out May 23rd on HBO Max. Not calling it.
You're not calling it Max?
No.
What a great idea to lose HBO.
HBO is the reason I watch HBO.
It's 40 years of like being the most famous cable network.
We'll see, right? Yeah.
But Max, sure.
Yeah.
Because we've all heard of that.
HBO Max on May 23rd. It's an animated prequel about 10-year-old Sam Wing meets a young Mogwai called Gizmo. So it's basically the origin story of Gizmo. And he and a teenage street thief named Ellie all take a journey through the Chinese countryside and sometimes encounter battles or monsters or spirits from Chinese folklore.
Oh my gosh.
And their quest is to return Gizmo to his family and to get a legendary treasure. So I think it sounds really fun. And it has a lot of really great, top voice actors or
nice.
actors that are voicing, and some that have voice acted before. So Matthew Rhys is one of the voice actors.
Okay.
He's in Perry Mason and The Americans.
Yeah.
Ming-Na Wen.
Oh, love her.
James
Gosh.
Hong.
Oh, the fucking legend.
Yeah, B.D. Wong.
But by the way, James Hong works more in his late 90s.
Yeah.
He like works harder and has more jobs than like I've ever had. It's incredible. Where does this man get his energy? I'm more tired than he is.
Probably from Chinese medicine.
Or just being this motherfucker was on Bonanza. That is how long he has been in the business.
B.D. Wong, also Randall Park, Bowen Yang, and Sandra Oh.
That's a great cast.
I know. Zach Galligan also is coming back.
Oh, nice.
And Joe Dante is directing.
Wow.
And he directed the original film.
That's fantastic. And listen, I know it's a long shot, but if we can get Phoebe Cates back, that would be...
It's really irrelevant.
It would be nice to see her again. It's been a while since...
I like how it's really a focus on...
for sure.
Asian actors and actresses, and really telling a Chinese folklore-based story, which is really, really exciting.
That's going to be great.
I think it's reclaiming the concept of...
We talked about that a little bit when we talked about Gremlins. The arrogance of his father walking into that store and being like, yeah, money, right? I don't care. And the havoc that ensues. It's a real kind of cautionary tale on appropriation. But I like the thought that before he ended up in this like turd suburban town, Gizmo had a continent spanning like series of adventures where he fought gods.
Yeah.
And then he just really goes to live with some idiot in like suburbia.
How visually exciting this is going to be because of the fact it is animation.
Yeah.
It really makes sense.
And we really, listen, I don't mean to sound too preachy, but like animation's going through a rough time these days. The budgets are getting slashed left and right. Their departments are getting cut. Really need to support animation and animators. It is a beautiful art form. It just provided so much joy to us. And I always feel like it's just disrespected or not taken seriously, much like horror films until, honestly, quite recently. So any chance to support a quality animated product is, the one that's not designed to just like sell action figures.
And honestly, Gremlins is the GOAT for
Hell
me.
yeah.
I remember watching it as a kid. I feel like I watched it at the drive-ins, but I think it was a Christmas movie.
Nice.
It came out around Christmas time.
Oh yeah,
it's a Christmas movie, and I think we talked about it.
Totally is a
for
Christmas
our
movie.
holiday episode. But I'm just really excited to see and the cast and just. I just think it looks really fun. One of my favorite animated movies is Mulan, and I just think it has, Mulan vibes.
So, well, it's got Ming Na.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I really briefly have just a bonus mention. So this movie is in theaters right now. I think it came out at the end of April, but I want to just briefly mention the Finnish film Sisu. It's not a horror movie, but it is directed by Jalmari Halander, who did Rare Exports, which we talked about in our holiday episode. It's also got his real-life brother, Jorma Tommila, who was in Rare Exports. He was the dad. And I just want to mention it. It ties a little bit into The Wrath of Becky because it is a story where Jorma Tommila plays basically a Nazi-killing Terminator death machine. He is a Finnish man who stumbles upon some gold, and that gets stolen from him by Nazis, and he kills all of the Nazis. Mm-hmm. So if you're into John Wick, but with Nazis, this is the movie to watch. Bloody as hell. Jalmari Halander is a real talent. It's been 12 or 13 years since Rare Exports came out. It's about goddamn time he started getting like more recognition, and Sisu's been a big smash hit for him internationally. So if you get a chance, it's playing actually pretty widely. Mm-hmm. Honestly, go check out Sisu.
Yeah.
SISU.
And that ends our main recommendation.
Yeah, that's it for me. We said it was a light.
That's
it for us. That's it for us. We said it was a light month, and maybe some of our recommendations aren't like hardcore horror, but still a lot to enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know why you're caveating our recommendations.
I think it's a coping method. I don't know.
Aggrandizing. Nope. Self-flagellation.
I was raised painfully strictly.
But I think that
Catholic
you guys
school.
can check out whatever you want, like all of our recommendations. But I hope you enjoyed this episode, this fast track into summer.
Yeah, and everybody get outside, get some sun, and have a lovely May.
Bye. Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Suspanic. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're standing right